We are here at the Hollywood Museum in Hannibal Lecter's jail cell with a guy whose job is normally to put people in places like this.
But Jesse makes up enough of his own rules. He's going to get in trouble someday.
Don't you want to play the villain sometimes?
I do, and I'd like to. I always feel that sometimes they make the mistake that that the villain had to have a certain amount of charm to talk his victim into a situation where they were vulnerable, and sometimes I see it coming. I'd like to have a chance to let the audience not see it coming.
2 years ago, you were nominated for Best Lead Actor in a TV Movie for which Jesse Stone installment? I've lost track. There are how many now?
Well, that was number 4. That was Sea Change. That was the last one that aired. The next one that aired recently is Thin Ice, which is number 5. And number 6 is to come, which is called No Remorse, and that's all done, and we're real proud of that. And I'm writing number 7, which is untitled.
By the way, number 5, which aired in early March, had 15 million viewers on TV. It was the most viewed thing on television. You even topped the numbers that 60 Minutes had earlier in the evening.
Yes, because we had serious content.
Ooh!
I'm a 60-minute fan, and they're a great lead-in. We did particularly well. I think what we're getting, Tom, is a cumulative benefit of the movies have to stand on their own for new audiences. They don't want to feel they've had to see the others, but for those who have seen the others, which is an increasingly large number, they get a bonus. And I think what I get now at the hardware store in my unofficial poll is, when's the next Jesse Stone? So I think we're getting that benefit now.
And what's the allure? Why do we love it so much?
I think it's character-driven. There's very little character-driven stuff on TV nowadays. It's really all about the people. Most particularly, it's about Jesse, which puts a lot of pressure on me, but I really love playing this guy. I think people root for him because he's so flawed and he's so apt to screw up and he has so many bad habits. They basically like him, but they worry about him.
Yeah,
they want to mother him.
Explain. He's a displaced soul. He comes from the big city.
He's a big city homicide cop who got fired for being drunk on the job. Like a lot of cops, he got a divorce. He blamed himself for his wife fooling around. He's got a very strange sense of of values, and got himself fired. And the only job he could get was a small town police chief in Paradise, Massachusetts. And that the mystery of the first Jesse Stone really is, he says to Suitcase Simpson, one of the young deputies, he said, I was drunk on my job interview. I wouldn't have hired me, would you? And that's kind of the mystery of the first movie. It bothers him that they hired him.
We're here, since we're at a museum, we're here with an Emmy Award that Phil Silver's show, Sergeant Bilko, won as Best Comedy Series. Now, Magnun P.I. was up for Best Drama Series. You're an Emmy winner. You won in 1984. You won a few months later at the Golden Globes. But tell this Emmy story, because I believe you're the only person who won on the night they hosted.
Well, me as an Emmy host is kind of, I thought, silly, but my friend Carol Burnett got sick and couldn't do it, and she called me up and said, you got to host for me. And I said, Carol, I'm not funny. Anyway, I did it. I actually got fairly good reviews because I was very brief and didn't try to be funny. And I just tried to be pleasant.
But when you won, you were a little flustered because it was a night when Hill Street Blues was sweeping the awards.
Yeah, and I'd been nominated, I think, 3 times, 2 or 3 times. Yeah. And they said, when I'm rehearsing as the host, they said, here's the part where your award comes up. I said, well, I'm not going to win. Don't pay any. And I didn't pay any attention to what I was supposed to do, so I got very flustered. The nice thing about it is I was waiting backstage with my friends John Hillerman, Roger Mosley, and Larry Manetti from the show because they were going to come out and present the next award. So they announced this thing, and I ran from backstage, and I muttered something, and finally they said thank you, and then ran across the stage to
the other podium
as host,
and then resumed.
And then Roger and John and Larry come out, and I was very stunned.
Everybody was impressed, by the way, when you read the reviews of Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, at that switch, how you went from one podium to the other and beautifully transitioned back into host. That was very impressive.
I did. I got it together because I'd rehearsed the introduction, and then Roger, John, and Larry came out. And if you really watch, and you look at me in the background holding this Emmy I was stunned. I just didn't expect to win, and that's a nice surprise.
Well, after you lose twice, you expect.
Yeah. And that we had major competition, and it was nice that the show, and I guess I got taken a little seriously.
Yeah. A few months later, you're up for a Golden Globe. Tell that story. That was really dramatic.
Well, I've never been the guy. I've lost a lot in my seat where they stick a camera right in your face, and you have to smile when you lose and say, "Oh, I'm so happy someone else won." But I don't know what it's like to hear yourself win and walk on stage, because obviously my Emmy experience is weird, and then the Golden Globes, I was on my way to the Golden Globes Saturday morning. I worked Friday night on Magnum. The Golden Globes are Saturday night. I get on a plane. We get halfway there, and we lose an engine. I had to go back to Honolulu, and there was no time to get there. So my friend John Hillerman accepted that one for me. So maybe it's just a jinx. If I'm sitting in my seat, I know I'm not going to win.
Columbo, Peter Falk won 5 Emmys for a kind of an iconic police detective. Jesse's certainly becoming that. So there's hope there's hope that you can get back up to that podium with a little more expectation or preparation this time, huh?
Look, I know it's a cliche, but it really is nice to get a nomination. I've been fortunate as time went on to get nominations in comedy and certainly in Magnum.
You were nominated for Friends in the guest category.
and it's nice that Jesse got perceived that way, and I hope more elements of the show get recognized. Whether I get nominated again, I'll just continue to try as hard as I can to do good work. I've been blessed with a character that I knew from the instant I read the Robert Parker books had the potential, that I felt it kind of had the same potential the Magnum character had to be watchable, and in this case the guy's got so many problems and is such a brooder in many ways that people have recognized the drama in it.
Mm-hmm. And where do you go from here, or do you have to keep that under wraps?
I don't know what. No Remorse is number 6. I'm.
Can you give
I'm
us any plot
number
details
7.
of that, or
No.
little hints? Okay, all right.
Well, it's so much about. Again, the movies stand on their own, but it is increasingly there's this continuing story that people are finding fascinating, and the story is usually what's going to happen to Jesse. In between, I'm doing a movie with Ashton Kutcher and Katherine Heigl called 5 Killers. In fact, I go to Atlanta tomorrow where they're shooting. I go back and forth a lot. I'm playing Katherine Heigl's dad.
All right.
So I'm playing dads now, but he's pretty cool. He isn't out of it, and it's not over for him. So it's a neat movie, and again, I can't quite tell what the part is but it is some new wrinkles for me. Not just being a dad, but I don't want to give away the story.
Okay. Well, good luck on all that.
Thanks, Tom.